Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Not Content Podcast. My name is Jerome Cuson, joined as always by my colleague Brian. As always, leave a 4 or 5 star review to get those algorithms going on Apple and Spotify. Like and subscribe on YouTube. Click on the bell icon for notifications. Brian, here tonight we are continuing our discussion of Moonlighting and Miami Vice. Tonight we will be discussing Moonlight Season 2, Episode 4. The dream sequence always rings twice, as well as Season 2, Episode 18, entitled Camille, not to be confused with Karina. And we are also going to be discussing Miami Vice Season 1, Episodes 4 and 5, or 5 and 6, depending on how you break up the pilot. We will be discussing Calderon's Return, Part 1, and Calderon's Return, Part 2. Brian, we got into these shows last week, and now this week we will be continuing our examination of both. And all I can say is we get a couple more some very epic needle drops. I'm not as good as last week, but we got some good ones again this week as well.
For sure, and not just Miami Vice, because who knew Sybil Shepherd was such a great singer? I'm assuming that she was singing in this episode. I hope so, because it sounded like her. I'm trying to give her the benefit of the doubt and give her credit here. But Sybil Shepherd in this sort of noir flashback dream sequence episode, very Hitchcockian, very 1940s-ish, right? I immediately just thought of like Double Indemnity or something like that, or Sunset Boulevard, which I think is like 1950, but still like in that noir murder, you got to kill my husband kind of vibe thing. And I love that kind of thing because like there's always like a twist with those movies. It's either like the dude is going to be the one that's actually like setting her up, or it's her setting the dude up. And in this case, they did the Rashomon. And if you don't know that reference, folks, it's basically the alternate perspective of certain events that, one things can happen a certain way to a different person. It can happen another way, and that's what we get in this perspective episode of, I guess, two people having the same linear dream at the same time or something.
I mean,
This
it's
show's
very
wacky,
much
folks, but it's fun. It's a lot of fun.
Men are from Mars, women are from Venus. Like they both have their perspectives, and then they dream about them still having those perspectives, essentially.
Pretty much, and they were pretty much arguing at the beginning of this episode about how this murder went down all these years ago because the owner of this club told them what happened, and then they were discussing it on the way back in the car, and they're just like trying to like, how did they do that? Or did she do it? Or did she do it? You know what I mean? And then of course Bruce Willis sides with the dude, Sybil Shepherd sides with the woman, and then it starts with Sybil Shepherd and her flashback dream sequence shows her perspective of things on the events that she, the way she heard it, and then we get it from Bruce Willis's perspective in the other half of the episode. All with like, I don't want to say it's 16 millimeter, but it's definitely like 35 millimeter like film framing they did, which is amazing because you can see the grain.
They're definitely going for a very specific vibe with this,
Yeah,
which I appreciate.
I appreciate as well, man. And the clarinet, good details with the clarinet because like they brought up the fact that the clarinet was dented. And it's like, why was the clarinet dented? Why would the dude bring his clarinet to work and it's dented? He can't use little details like that. So I love that little details like that. And of course, like the Orson Welles of it all is like he's just introducing the episode. He's clearly reading from a cue card, which is so on brand considering all the jokes that Orson Welles gets made fun of in like Simpsons, The Critic, right? Like all the same kind of vibe is like he's reading off a cue card or just doing it for the money and he's just like eating off camera or something like that. Just, I know it's bad to make fun of him like that, but that's kind of his reputation for the era of this, around this era, is like he's just doing it for the money and eating a lot of stuff off camera.
If there's one thing Hollywood will do, it's make fun of fat people, and that continues to this day.
Yes, but it's also kind of based on, look, I'm a big guy too, but the stories I've heard of Orson Welles, man, just woo! He did not care at the end, like almost like the Marlon Brando thing, where he just got bigger and bigger.
Like you could say, him reading off. I mean, it was kind of sad, really, just watching him. Like he's got that voice, but like you can tell that he is not in good shape, and it's rough, man.
I think it's his living room. I think they just went to his living room or something and just, can you record this for like 2 minutes?
Why leave the house? And I'm sure he got paid like
why?
a solid amount of money.
Oh man, God bless Orson Welles because Touch of Evil is a hell of a picture. I think I like it more than Citizen Kane. And I think that's not necessarily the
I
controversial
mean,
statement.
he's he's such an important filmmaker, but to see and like you understand why
At
they
his
put
low
him in the
point,
role.
I know, and that's been the joke in the '80s and
Like
'90s, and
you can
yeah,
clearly see that like if Humphrey Bogart were alive, like he would be the one doing this because they're trying to make Bruce Willis into basically a Humphrey Bogart like character
and
in
then
this
what's the
version
other
of the
actor
show.
from Double Indemnity? He's like the taller one. I forget his name, but he's like he always talks like, "Can you hear me, baby? Can you talk like this, baby?"
So
You know
here's
what I'm
the thing
saying?
I want. So here's the thing I want to point out to you is, do you realize that there is a very real possibility that Bruce Willis got his role in Sin City because of this, right?
Well, I kind of thought that, but I don't know. I think it was his reputation just kind of
I
brought
mean, the narration is right there. It's Fred McMurray, by the way. Fred
a little bit.
McMurray. He's
Okay, okay, I
That's who
get
you were
you.
thinking of for Double
Right, right.
Indemnity.
That great voice that he has. But the noir part of this was interesting because I found it interesting that like there was only voiceover in the Bruce Willis half, right? Not the Sybil Shepherd half. Did I?
I mean, I think that was done. I mean, that's done on purpose. That's a POV
Right.
thing.
That's what I'm saying. It's like usually
Like
we'll get the
in
full
noirs, though,
narrator throughout the whole thing.
women never narrate in the noirs, but
That's
we do
exactly my
get
point too. That's what I'm getting at too. So it's
but you
very
notice
like
we get Sybil Shepherd's inner monologue at the end.
yeah, that's what I was like. Okay, so they're kind of playing that the tropes, but they kind of bend some of the tropes, but they're definitely leaning into the
I mean,
main one
that's
about the
literally
main
what
guy
we're going to be
being.
talking about with the next episode, right?
Yeah. Well, the next episode is more Mel Brooks-ish, and we'll get to that, but in a great way actually. But in this case, like, yeah, this is like for the love of film noir and all that stuff. And you mentioned Humphrey Bogart. I mentioned the guy from Double Indemnity. It's like that Bruce Willis just fits that role so well. And of course, if you've seen Sin City, he does the noir very well in that. But I just think his voice, like in his bravado from the '90s, kind of got him the role from that. Not necessarily this particular role, but I can see where you're kind of going with that. If anything, this kind of showed his musical side because I don't. He's probably not obviously playing the clarinet for real, but like he's got that swag on stage, which kind of lends to his on stage musical personality, if that makes sense.
If
Because
this
he's
is
like
what
a
made him become Bruno, then we got problems, man. We got problems.
Bruno is not the best, but he's good. He even did a duet with Tina Turner on live stage once or something like that. So there's a connection there later. But I'm just saying, like this kind of feels like him leading into that musical persona. So I appreciated
Perhaps.
that. And of course, the black and white was awesome. I could tell that like the set dressing was really good, even with the black and white, because I think that old school way of telling like a set is great, even when it's black and white. Like for example, obviously, is like the Addams Family. It's kind of one of those notorious sets that was in black and white, but a lot of it was like just bright colors to pop it in black and white. So I'm sure they did a lot of that color kind of playing around, and it worked very well.
Perhaps.
And
I mean, I think this is a really entertaining episode. Like, I think I really like the different perspectives on kind of telling the same story. I like the meta, like you see the meta ness growing, and it's. I mean, when I tell you in 2 weeks how the show ends, it's going to really come all full circle. But one of the things that I absolutely love is the fact that Bruce Willis is like, I can't die in my dream, and he's like, well, there's been a last minute change, and Sybil Shepherd pulling the lever, so to speak. It's really
did you
funny.
think
Like,
of did you think of the player when you saw that scene? And did you expect some kind of like Julia Roberts maybe possible coming in or just maybe just something crazy like that cuz
I mean, I think
that
it's a trope.
felt like
It's something
that
that we.
scene. Yeah, I mean it just felt like that scene from the player. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if the player was paying homage to this scene or something, but I was just having flashbacks. Well, flash forwards I should say to the player because that would be like 7 years later, but very similar in that tone of that scene. And then overall, I think I forget who the main guy was, the husband character, but he did a great job as well because he kind of played it two different ways. He played the hard ass, possibly abusive husband, and then he played the soft spoken husband that lets the wife do whatever he wants or she wants as long as she comes home, kind of thing.
I mean, I'm sure it gets into the psyches of David, um, and Miss Davies. Like, I think that they're really playing into their psyches in a big way.
Yeah,
So
and of course,
it's good stuff, man. Like this
yeah, it's good
show, I
stuff.
think this show really does fall off the rails in seasons 4 and 5. But I mean, there's some real magic. Like you can tell that this creator had something much more in mind than the typical like like the Nick and Nora from The Thin Man or something like that. Like they're going for like a modern noir, putting their own spin on it, creating kind of this meta thing that you don't really see on TV, and it's really interesting. Like what with the next episode that we're going to be talking about, like how much influence did this show have on The Simpsons, on Quentin Tarantino, even on Kevin Smith? I mean, literally season two, episode 18, which is the finale, by the way. You have title cards kind of in that Tarantino font. You've got a really important needle drop in we've talked about with In the Air Tonight by Phil Collins for Miami Vice, but in this case, you're talking about Devil with the Blue Dress, and I mean, I think it literally carries us through the whole episode, and it's epically done.
So I want to say I give 8 out of 10 to the Postman, or
I'm
the
an
dream
eight,
sequence episode.
eight out of 10 for me as well.
Yeah, and apparently, like it got like I guess in the '90s, like when they voted for like the top episodes of all of TV at the time, this was like number 34 on the list or something like that. So it's
I'm not
got a
sure if I would go.
reputation to it.
I mean, maybe in the '90s I could see that. Now I don't know that it would get
It's hard
ranked
to
that
do
high,
that now, obviously, but in '97, I
but
can
like
see how they were able to
really
like,
it
yeah,
was a really good episode of TV for sure.
yeah. So this episode is like, it's like I don't know, it's like Blazing Saddles written as like a Tarantino movie mixed with like interesting comedy mixed with like really good character development. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think
I
Whoopi
mean,
Goldberg had some really good character development.
this episode should know, and the fact that it does is a testament not just to Bruce Willis and a Sybil Shepherd, who I think are great, but Whoopi Goldberg is unbelievable. And I mean, I think she's really underrated. Like, I think people have lost sight of the fact that she is a movie star, and I'm going to say that in the present tense because she is still with us. And I know that she's kind of been relegated to daytime TV and doing the View and stuff, which I have very mixed feelings on it just as an entity. But you look at what she's done in this episode, I think she's fantastic, kind of playing a criminal, but very sympathetic. Like Judd Nelson's the real antagonist of this episode. Like he's the one that's an actual asshole. Like Whoopi Goldberg is just kind of a victim of circumstance. And I love that you learn so much about her character, like literally in the first 2 minutes when she walks by the flowers and then looks around to see that nobody's looking, steals the flowers, and then we see her offering something to the priest for a license, and there's a bunch of cash in there. Just amazing stuff. You learn so much about her. And like the scene when like it almost becomes like a vaudeville when she's wearing the same thing as Sybil Shepherd and they do like a mirror sequence. I mean, that's really well done. But like if you really look at it, like of the four major cast members in this episode, the only one that has an Oscar is Whoopi Goldberg for Ghost. And she's really good in that movie. I think she is the focal point of one of the best episodes of The Next Generation, yesterday's Enterprise. I think she's really underrated, like doing Sister Act, and I think Karina's really underrated. Not to mention Color Purple, which gets referenced here in another very meta moment. I mean, Whoopi Goldberg's really good, and it's a shame that we don't talk about her in some of the same ways that we talk about other actors of this era. But like she's really good, and the thing is again, she's been really good in a wide variety of different TV shows and movies.
I was shocked at the chemistry she had with Bruce Willis. Like I was like expecting like not necessarily like sand and water kind of thing, but like I don't know if these two would kind of gel, but their personalities in this episode really gelled well together. I thought. Like
Like,
I
why weren't they in a Die Hard together?
That's what I texted you, and I was like, dude, if Whoopi Goldberg was in Die Hard 2, I think I would love that movie so much more than the hate I give it now because it's just I find it as like a parody of the first one, right? But I don't know, something about her, like we mentioned this in Player, and the Player again, we're bringing that up. Just like her presence as a cop and a detective kind of like fits this kind of like detective world, and that she didn't really go into that detective world necessarily, but she like tapped into it a little bit, dipped her fingers and toes into it a little bit in this episode. But like, I can see her like being a permanent cast member after this if they wanted to, and add her to the show because it created this other dynamic to the show instead of the whole like will they or won't they dynamic. This added this third element to it that like actually had a really interesting character and a really interesting arc, and they gave her time to invest her character in the beginning. Like I was really impressed with the writing of this episode in particular because the
Well,
way it's
they did add a
structured.
fourth character, and boy, is he lame. Like, I don't know how much we're going to get into his character, but he becomes much more of a focal point as the show gets worse, and that is not a coincidence.
Okay, well, there you go. It should have been Whoopi then. It should have
Oh,
been
and
Whoopi.
absolutely. If I mean, the problem is that she's becoming a movie star
Right.
around this
But
same
man,
time.
like
Like,
this was like a perfect like the way it ended, like you could have had her added to the third season without anyone complaining because it would just fit the continuity of the show,
I think
I
so.
think.
I mean, the weird thing is like the episode is really good, and then it becomes something completely different for the final 10 minutes. Essentially, like it becomes a meta narrative. It becomes they're literally walking off sets. Like Sybil Shepherd's dressed as Charlie Chaplin at one point. Like it becomes kind of the ending of Blazing Saddles, kind of the ending of Monty Python and the Holy Grail. Like it literally
Oh
becomes
yeah, that had the
this
same
weird
ending too.
thing.
Yeah, yeah, and
But
it's
like
wacky,
it's
and they're on the
amazing
set.
that that's what they
They're on
did.
the
And
set too.
in a 1980s TV show, like they're going balls to the walls, but yet they somehow still bring it back to the chemistry between Sybil Shepherd and Bruce Willis. And that might be the most impressive trick that this episode pulls on you is the fact that they somehow maintain the will they or won't they dynamic at the very end.
Which is very like meta moment too because they're like saying goodbye for the summer, right? It's like I don't
It's
know, like in
great.
school.
Oh,
It's like in
it's
school where you're
really
in a
good.
relationship with a girl and like you might not see her during the summer and it's like the last day, right? And you're like, bye, right? You know what I'm saying? Like,
It's a magic trick. Like again, this should not work. But clearly, like at this point, like in 1986, we like they know that everybody's seen probably the first, second, third, and fourth. I think with the fourth season of Cheers at this point, so they know the dynamic they're going for. Like they're if they're not actively going for Sam and Diane, they're going for something very very close, and this is what they're playing clearly. Like even though Moonlighting was on ABC, Cheers is on NBC, everybody I'm sure has an awareness of Cheers, and people can appreciate it on that level.
I also want to point out that Judd Nelson openly said he was gay, and I was like, whoa, fuck, that's crazy for 1985 or whatever.
I mean,
It's
they're
always
gay
it's always
characters,
subtext, or they say the word, I'm
or
not a
they're
heterosexual.
like flaming gay. That they're
Right,
really
it's either like
really gay.
either end of the spectrum, and this dude is like a normal dude. So I thought that was like, I mean, not normal in a sense, but like just like he looks like an everyday normal dude that's not a trope.
He is a passing cisgender male.
Right, and it that line was like, wow, that's a great line because like that kind of works for that character because he didn't play it like totally like off the wall or like a trope or anything. So that was cool. That was
I
really
mean,
cool.
Jen Nelson's really good in at times. Like I know that he kind of has
Hey, I know
fallen
you don't
at
like
times.
Airheads, man, but I thought he was like really underrated for the 5 minutes he was in Airheads. That like swarmy
He is not the problem with
executive. Yeah,
that.
yeah. So
I like Judd Nelson in a lot of roles, but like it just, I don't know. I guess he's hard to work with. I guess he's kind of a pain in the ass. So that probably played into why he doesn't get talked about perhaps as much as some of the other members of the Brat Pack. But I mean, this is an episode that 100% should not work. And somehow it all works. Like, I love the fact that Whoopi Goldberg literally prevents the assassination of a senator and just the way that it all gets played out. I think that the way that they could have played it, like it could have fallen into this trope, very stereotypy thing of like a black woman and what happens to her, but like it gets played off extremely well. The chemistry is there, the performances are there. This is an 8.5 out of 10 for me. I think this episode is one of the best Moonlighting episodes ever, and like this, I don't know that I would put this in a top 100 episodes, but if I created tiers of TV episodes, this would be towards the top.
yeah, A tier, definitely. Maybe S tier of a reevaluation. I'm at the same kind of score you were at. Maybe I don't know. I don't.
The
I want to
problem
kind of say
is that
nine.
I think that I the problem is I think there are two episodes left that I think are better than this.
Okay, so that yeah, because I want to say nine, but I don't know. I just feel really impressed with like the writing because not only that, you mentioned the Tarantino like storytelling of it all. Because what we're trying to say is like the person who wrote this, I forget his name, wrote title cards, and it looked like because usually Tarantino it's chapter one, chapter two, and then in Clerks we see those weird like names and stuff with like weird terminology. In this case, it was like one, two, three, and it was they didn't say chapter one, but it was implying like this is part one, part two, part three,
I think
and
it's
it
more
ended up being eight
act
parts.
one, act two, act three. I think it's more like acts. I think that's how I would see it.
Okay, because like that, it really just like made it like flow in a different way, and then it kind of just added something to the narrative because it's very different than all the other narratives in the show. Probably, I'm guessing like they don't do this in like the episodes prior to this, not even one, I don't think. So
No,
like
they
it's
haven't
so
up to this
refreshing,
point.
and it's just like a totally different vibe. So like the beginning feels like it's a different movie with Whoopi
I mean,
Goldberg like in this thing.
how about them literally rotating between "Devil with a Blue Dress" and that other song when the assassination is about to take place,
Yeah,
and the
usually
editing
that's
and the way it
really
went.
hard to do. That's really hard to pull off in terms of audio editing. Like, not that, like, I mean, if you can do it, but the sound is going to be bouncing back and forth, and you need complementary songs to pull it off, right? Does it make sense? Like, it's got to be visually or audibly like an aesthetic, right? And it pulls it off well. And every time there's a title card, chapter, act, or whatever, they do "Devil with the Blue Dress," and then they go silent. And I was like, that's a very Tarantino thing to do right there. And I don't know, maybe he did watch this and get a lot of ideas because like there's a lot of interesting stuff in this particular episode in terms of the writing,
I mean,
and then of
I
course
think
the Mel
I
Brooks of
see
it
a lot.
all.
I think the dialogue is very Kevin Smith. I see a lot of Kevin Smith dialogue in this too, and maybe you have to do like a
Interesting.
run of the whole show
Well, I
to
guess with the
really
meta
appreciate
stuff,
that.
yeah, that makes sense because like it'd be like if Dante was on the chair and be like, "Is Return of the Jedi on?" or something like that, or you know what I mean? Like, yeah, like I could totally picture that. So yeah, this was a lot of fun, and it made me want Whoopi Goldberg again and more of these like detective roles. And I know she plays cop roles, right? And I don't know, just a detective role is something I feel like she can just like really sink her teeth into, but didn't get the chance to as much.
Yeah, I mean, maybe we need to go on a Whoopi Goldberg run at some point.
Well, I did like. Okay, I know people don't like the movie with Ted Danson and Will Smith. I forget the name, but as a biracial person, that kind of like hit home a little bit. You know what I mean? So I give it that. But I haven't seen Karina in forever. That's the one with Ray Liotta,
That
right?
movie is
And
underrated from what I remember. Like it's
okay,
surprisingly good.
that's
Maybe we need to do that at
maybe
least.
a Whoopi playlist or something. Maybe not a whole month, but maybe just a few movies. Because I mean, we all love
See,
Sister Act. I think that's the
I
general
mean,
consensus.
maybe yesterday's Enterprise should be part of it.
Oh boy, that's
That is
is
such a
that
good episode. It
okay, I'm
really
trying to
is.
remember. Just for clarification, that's the one where Tasha Yar did come back and then created the alternate timeline?
Yes, that is the one where the alternate timeline gets created.
Right. Okay. And then
Yep.
that brings Tasha Yar back. So there you go.
And that's I think what the show really hits its stride. So let's talk about Miami Vice and the return of Calderon. We get we get Sonny not divorcing his wife, then deciding that they need to get divorced because he and his family almost get murdered by a quote unquote Argentinian assassin.
That doesn't look Argentinian, but I guess he's one of those white Argentinians. What
Man,
throw what throws you off is that he's got curly hair. So it's fine. It is what it is. I can buy that he's an Argentinian. It's you had to find out secondhand through dialogue, like, oh, he's Argentinian, and then they use that in the part two where Crockett actually goes undercover as the Argentinian to kind of get in further. But yeah, so part one, this is basically a revenge from the first, from the pilot. Like basically, there's a hit list of all the people that Calderon wants revenge on for like ratting him out or whatever, and nearly getting caught. And at the end of the list is Crockett. And I had to like make sure of this because like on the list it doesn't say Burnett or does it say Crockett, and apparently it does say Crockett, meaning that he does know he's a cop. So that kind of outed him. So I was kind of like, does he mean Burnett? Like, does he mean Crockett? Like, how does this going to go down? So it is, in fact, he finds out he's Sonny Crockett. That's why he goes after the family too, I guess. And then there's this confusion about who the actual assassin is, and they think they caught the assassin, but it turns out they just got like an associate of the assassin that they hired. And there's this like race in time because there's no cell phones back in the day, right? So they have to just try to race to get the Crockett because he's not answering the phone apparently. And they get to the house and there's the big shootout. Meanwhile, Tubbs is like trying to protect Sonny a little bit. And
and
then we
trying
go
to get laid.
and trying to get laid, of course, because that's a big
You
part of
know,
the next part
it's
too.
here's the one thing I will say. Like coming into watching Miami Vice, I always assumed that Don Johnson was going to be the horny one, just because the way the TV tends to work, they try not to have the minority character be the sex person. So it is really jarring to me that it's not Don Johnson that's trying to get laid all the
Well, that's because of the divorce. Once the divorce happens, believe me, whoo,
time.
he's gonna have a run, a legendary run with like Helen Bottom Carter as like a
Are we talking
doctor.
about like Ric Flair like run here?
Yeah, like it's gonna be 86 all over again for this guy, and that's exactly
I
what
bet it
happens.
is.
Because he's divorced now, because that was the whole thing, like should we get divorced or not, is the whole idea. Like she wanted to move to Atlanta, right? And at first he's like, that's too far, I want to
Because
be
she
with my
wants to be
son.
closer to Jim Crockett Promotions.
Or I think they're going to reveal that like it's something to do with her new boyfriend, that they end up getting like married like later on.
That's fair.
But I think what happens is like she doesn't move to Atlanta. She moves to like somewhere further from Miami, but still in Florida. So I think it's like an hour drive for Crockett, and that's kind of the compromise, which is fine. Like that's a normal compromise. I think that's totally like fair, all things considering, because like she feels like, this is like kind of the trope thing too. Is like, I'm tired of the cop life. I want you home. I'm tired of you hanging out with drug dealers all the time. Blah blah blah. And she blames him, but it's like, how could you blame him for all this bad shit that like he's trying to protect from the world? You know what I'm saying? Like you can't really blame him for that. He's just kind of stuck in his job. You know what I'm saying? So that's always the cop trope about, not being home all the time. And so that's kind of where that she draws this line in the sand, so to speak. And it's like, should we get a divorce? They have sex again, and they're like having this clarity moment, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, Crockett has to pee in witness protection right now because he's on this hit list. And that's where things kind of start unraveling, and you realize it's probably best they're not together anymore, because like her life would have been in much more
Probably,
danger,
yes.
especially the kid. And the kid is gonna have his issues too, not like major issues, but just like, issues with like, because his mom's gonna get remarried to another dude, and they're gonna have a kid in later seasons. And like the kid end up feeling like he's gonna get replaced or something like that. You know that feeling, especially when you're having a stepchild brother, right? So there's that dynamic about to go down with Sonny and his family. So there's a lot going on, right? And this whole divorce is kind of like the start of it all in his run, his legendary run that I'm talking about. And then of course this leads to part two, because they realize that Calderon is all behind it. And at the end of the episode, that's like, well, Calderon's in the Bahamas, so what do we do? Oh, I guess we're going to the Bahamas. So they go to the Bahamas. And I guess they legally can't arrest him. I think that's the thing, is like they have to
Right,
have an
right.
extraditing or
We are
whatever.
someone playing by the rules here. I
Yes.
think that's one of the tensions of the show. Actually, is that that's what they're going for.
And they always have to play the line, because Sonny crosses the line a lot, and Tubbs eventually crosses some of the lines. But
I am not surprised at all.
yeah, you're not surprised. In this case, like they're playing it by the book, and they realize that even the Bohemian or Bahama government or whatever it was, that island, they're in on the
Bahamian.
take. Yeah, they're in on the take. So like Calderon is like, so powerful that even like they can't even extradite him. So what happens is like Tubbs, being the horny dude that he is, gets in with Calderon's daughter, not even knowing that it's his daughter. He thinks that like she's like his lover or something, right?
It's
His
really
young lover.
hilarious.
But then
Like
once the reveal
he's
happens,
fine
like,
when she's potentially the lover, but when she's the daughter, that's when it becomes. That's when he feels like he's crossing the line.
yeah, it's so crazy, but it's one of those things that I think they did well. They didn't reveal that she's the daughter until like later in the episode, and the dynamic changes, because like, oh, he's not about like, he's, this is gonna be a different dynamic. She's not gonna be willing to like give him up so easily now that you know that she's his father, right? And that comes into play later on, like when they're yelling at each other at the beach. Like Tubbs is telling her, like, your father's a murderer, he's a drug dealer, he's got this whole like island under like contract or whatever, like paying the police to like lay off him. And she's just in denial, like total denial, which seems like really like plausible and believable. Like if you believe all your life your dad is like this honest dude, and then you find out like he's a murderer, like things are going to change for you mentally, right? So once this goes down and they go back to the house, and they eventually kill Calderon at his house, but she sees his death.
In very Scarface fashion, like it feels like
Oh
Scarface
yeah.
has a lot of influence. Brian, are you there?
Sorry, I got disconnected somehow, but we're still being recorded. Gotcha.
Yes.
So basically, like, what happens is like his head falls backwards in the pool, which is like so like stylistic to kill someone on screen, and
Yeah.
then this giant scream happens, and I don't know, it's like she's just totally in shock and brokenhearted, and you just feel so bad for her, right? Because like she really had like nothing to do with anything, and now she's like this victim. And then Tubbs is like, "I'm sorry, I'm a cop," and she's like, and she does this cold ass line where she goes, "Is that what you tell yourself to make it like right, Richard?" You know what I'm saying? Like, and it's like so true. It's like he didn't
It's
go there
brutal.
to get justice. He got there for revenge for his brother, and she like totally calls him out on it. And so there's this like, oh shit, you know what I mean? And then the big music cue. You wanna do the cue?
I mean, you were the one that really was into it.
Tina
Like
Turner.
it's
What's
fine.
love got
Like
to
it's
do with
fine.
it? It's man, with the waves and the way they're like in the background and the way they kind of shoot the
It's really
sequence is
well
very.
done. I can't explain why. I guess it's because I've always associated In the Air Tonight with that montage, so I could kind of accept it. But here's, I think that part of the problem that I have with Miami Vice is I think the show is good. I think it's really well executed. I think the problem is that I've seen so many versions of what I'm seeing here after the fact that I don't think this show has as much oomph as it probably did in 1984. And again, I think the performances are perfectly fine. I think that just with the way I feel about cops and just with the fact that I've seen this done in so many movies and TV shows, that's probably why this isn't as effective as, again, it would have been if I was watching this as a first time viewer in 1984.
I get that, but man, I'm a big Tina Turner fan, and when I saw that for the first
I
time
mean,
like ten
it's a
years
very
ago,
good needle. Like
it hit,
it
dude.
is.
It hit so big because like if you listen to the lyrics, you know what I mean. It kind of fits the moment, and Tubbs is kind of like getting feelings, and it's like you can't be getting feelings with a girl like this, like for
You
sure.
certainly cannot.
And then it kind of unravels, and it just unravels. He gets out of his control, and he thought he had it under control. He even says, and man, it gets crazier because I'm not. Do you want a spoiler, or do you want to
I
kind
mean, no,
of?
it's unless it's playing into any future episodes that we're watching, spoil away.
Okay, yeah, okay. I'm not gonna reveal it. It's the saga continues. The Calderon saga continues for Tubbs.
Oh my
Um,
goodness.
it's gonna involve John Leguizamo. That's all I'm gonna say. But yeah, that's the two-parter, and the police chief is dead because he wanted out of the show. And in the next episode, they're gonna debut Edward James Olmos, and it's gonna kick so much ass because he's gonna change the dynamic of the show even more and add so much more layers to the show. So the next episode we're going to review next week is the episode, the Bruce Willis episode. I believe it's 8. Uh, Hang on, let me get my wiki up here. Yeah, so No Exit. Bruce Willis, November 9th, 1984. This is like a couple months before Moonlighting debuts. So the rumor is, or the word is that his performance here got him the job on Moonlighting. So we'll check that out. And we're going to jump to season 2 after that. And this is like one of my all-time favorite Miami Vice episodes. I think it might be the best.
This is regarded as one of the best episodes of Miami Vice.
Yeah, Out Where the Buses Don't Run. It's got not a cameo, but a guest starring role by Bruce McGill. If you've never seen Bruce McGill, he's got like your trope, like your quintessential cop
You
guy.
have seen Bruce McGill. You have 100% seen him in something. I do want to point out that it's funny to me, and he's directing a bunch of these episodes. Paul Michael Glazer is one of the directors. You know who Michael Glazer is?
Didn't he become a Dick Wolf guy on Law and Order?
Starsky.
Oh, that guy. So okay, yeah, he's got a reputation, like a good reputation, right? Like he really.
Well, it's also funny to me that Jim Johnston, not that Jim Johnston directed Out Where the Buses Don't Run. It's a completely different person, but he's also a director. He just directs TV episodes.
Yeah, that's what I've learned too. And then see, Paul Michael Glazer, I've learned is that he is like a guy that you want for action TV shows, right? Like that's kind of like because he's the Starsky and Hutch experience, and then like it got him all these different TV gigs. So that's not surprising at all, actually.
All
Um,
right, so for Moonlighting next week, oh, I'm so excited for both of these episodes. One of them is a treat for Brian. Season 3, episode 5, All Creatures Great and Not So Great. A great guest star. I hope you have not spoiled on who it is, Brian.
No, I'm not. I'm going spoiler free on the
All right, this is going
celebrity
to be
cameos.
fun. And then probably my favorite episode of Moonlighting, season 3, episode 6, Big Man on Mulberry Street.
Okay, so that sounds like it's a Twilight Zone reference, but I could be wrong on that.
You're going to have to find out.
Okay, because I think Mulberry Street is the. Okay, because there's a famous Twilight Zone episode, folks, where this neighborhood kind of turns on itself, and I think that's the neighborhood. I could be wrong on that, but
All
we'll
right.
see. Okay.
See? All right, for Brian, I'm Jerome. Thank you so much for listening. We will talk to you again next week.